All right, let's do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another terrible podcast by Comics. This is our ASS cast with us. I'd like to welcome our ASS cast. It's Assisted Suicide Squad, and the reason is that this is the old people. This is the old people. So that's who we are. Let's introduce my co-host, Mean Dave.
Hello.
Hey.
I want to say hi while they're still on Jason's camera. That's Jason's parent, who I haven't seen in like, I don't know how many years. I think I haven't seen his mom in years, and I haven't seen his dad since we last moved Jason in San Francisco. So, yeah.
I'm Mary Diamond. I forgot to say, but you guys already know me. Let's introduce our guests, our old ass guests today.
Awesome. And by the way, for those of you who don't, because they're not familiar with. When we had a format in our podcast where when we had guests that were 40 years of age or older only, when we had all of our crew, because I'm over 40, Erie's over 40, and if we had our guests were over 40, we then dub it the Assisted Suicide Squad edition, and so we call it the Old Ass Podcast, and which the graphic behind Erie you'll see is very nice graphic that was made by a friend of one of our guests here today. We want to make sure that we make that known. But yes, our two guests today, I think you can tell they're not the regulars who normally join our podcast. So it's Griffin Daly right over here. Griffin Daly.
Hello, Johnny.
And
Griffin Daly.
John joining us with just taking months of just drudging and begrudging and whatever. Finally, it only took since March of talking shit to get him on to one of the shows. Please welcome Sean Boyles, everybody. Sean Boyles.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's just starting, Sean.
What's that?
I know, but I just want to make sure that that we're clear that there wasn't a severe dragging of me to do this. I just want to say that. That's all.
Crying and being upset.
There was no tears. There was no heartache. There was no there wasn't a hardcore resistance. I just was like, I'm not into the Zoom thing. That's all.
Well, I'm a witness for the fact that there was a hardcore resistance, but we're going to talk about that in a minute.
We've got plenty of time that we're going to go into that more in depth. But first and foremost is our initial introduction section of our show that we do to give everybody an opportunity, a chance to learn who you are. This is our listen up section. This is where basically Griffin, Sean, you'll each get a chance to give us your life story in about 200 words. So we'll start with you, Griffin. Let's see what you got.
I don't know what I got, but I'm trying to. I don't know what. So. Oh, what the fuck you said? Chris, you can save thousands of dollars on your insurance. What the fuck are you doing? I don't have insurance.
You really are losing your mind over there, aren't you, Griffin?
People out there, you don't need insurance. Stop buying it. It's a con. Get off the fuck. You're gonna make me swear, man. It creeps on all the time. Every time I'm trying to just like, I don't know. Do I have a life story? I'm still here. That's all that counts, really. You know what I mean? So I was born over in somewhere across the water, and I used to have fun. I used to make fun of people, and people didn't like it, so they used to beat me up, and then I got tough and I started beating them up, and then I used to make fun of them for beating them up, and then what happened then? Oh yeah, I went to school. I was only 5, and all the other kids were bigger than me, so they used to beat me up again. And then what happened after that? Oh, I learned how to read and write. See, because you need that, don't you? And then I And I looked at the telly. Well, the telly was good. You had Rawhide on there and the 7th Cavalry, stuff like that. It was good fun to watch people shooting each other, Americans, you know. But then they killed off all the Indians, so they couldn't make any more films after that, you know. And they just started shooting each other, the white people, you know. And then what happened after that? I met a bird and got married, yeah, when I was about 19 or something. She turned out to be a lunatic, just like me, so that was all right. We stayed together for 16 years. It was good fun, you know. Yeah, had a couple of kids.
How many whiskeys did you have today, Griff?
Are you okay? Are you okay?
What's
Okay.
that?
I
How
just
many
was
whiskeys
wondering-
did you had?
Am I finished now? What
No,
did you say?
Dave, did you count the words? I think that was 200.
Yeah,
Was that
we'll have a
200
part.
words? No,
We'll
it's
have,
under
you back on
100.
to do, we'll have you back on to do part 2 of your biography here. Sean.
Hi. I don't
how
know
about
if I can. I don't know if I can top that. That was a lesson in what you're. Well, that's the original English right there. Unfortunately, right?
That's right, mate. Yeah.
ramping it up to 11 because he's got people watching for once. So he's trying.
I don't know if he's ramping.
No, I've talked to
Sean,
him.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Okay, sorry. I grew up in Hayward, California. I've been a musician for 38 years. I play the drums. I've played in a bunch of bands. I started doing comedy 4 years ago. And that's how I met Dave and Erie and all these fine folks. I paint houses for a living. That's the most abridged version you're gonna get probably.
Oh, he also does comedy, and the most coolest thing about him is he's married to a really cool person.
That I am. I don't know if she's watching right now. She was taking a nap when we started. I believe she might still be napping because.
Ain't you a drummer too, Sean? A drummer, ain't you?
I thought I said that at first.
Listen at all?
Yes, yeah.
He said both of those things.
I said comedy and drums because that's all I got. That and painting houses. I could say it all again, I think, if I need to, but yeah.
Definitely feels old already. All right.
Yeah,
Sure.
everybody, I just, now that you guys are all like super intrigued with our guest, I would like to just mention that we are poor, non-working comedians right now, and Venmo is how you pay people during the apocalypse. So Venmo us. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Writing it in the chat here too for anybody, just so. Evelyn, Erie. So up next is our next section for you old coots here. And PayPal. Do the PayPal one. Oh, got another guest here. Sorry, folks. Here, our next section here is sort of a general section that we've done before. We all are in the shelter in place indefinitely for all of our, all the whatever. And so our next section, can you tell that I'm biding time? Is
No, not at all. Can't
not
tell.
at all. How are you holding up? How is everybody holding up in the in everything? So we'll start. Well, we know Griffin how he's holding up. So let's start with you, Sean. You'll have a how are you holding up this far?
I'm holding myself up with 4 fucking crutches here right now. I'm holding myself up. Sean is supposed to be you.
John, how are you holding up, buddy?
I am holding up okay. It was a little sketchy there for a minute. Work got a little slow. People didn't want me in their house, which is understandable. But looking at me, COVID's probably maybe the 3rd or 4th thing on the list people might worry about catching from me. So I was a little slow. Things are picking up now. I didn't work a day in the month of May, but now I worked every day except for 2 in the month of June, and every day in July so far, except for today. So work has picked up. I haven't felt the doomsday of staying inside the house nonstop because I've been out in the world trying to make it look better by putting enamel and latex on your walls, interior and exterior. So other than that, I'm okay. I'm not opposed to wearing the mask. I'm not opposed to washing my hands more. So
You did mention a thing of today. I mean, you told me about it. I don't know if you feel comfortable telling everybody, but
I'll tell anybody anything.
Tell them what happened.
I was working yesterday and I got a call from my wife. She was in a panic. She said that she had been taking a shower and she got out of the shower only to step in about ankle deep of water. The toilet had decided to leak. And there was, so I rent a studio apartment in the basement of a man's house, and the apartment was made, it was an afterthought basically of the house. So all the plumbing in my unit is underneath, was made after the house was built. So I have to have a sump pump to pump my water waste out to the sewer. Apparently the pump had stopped working and the tank had overflowed. The toilet is the lowest thing in the bathroom. Thus, the water started to overflow and I had cacao water in my bathroom.
Oh, God.
So I was about...
I don't know why Randy's so excited about when you said cacao water. He started doing this.
He does it in a good way. No, I like how he's
doing that.
throws it there.
Weird. So I was about 40 minutes out from the house, coming back from a job. And so I had to rush back, and the water was continually coming out of the bottom of the toilet. The caulking had gave way, and it was just a mess. So I spent a good few hours with every towel in my house and my landlord's house, sopping up poo water. And then I did the dumb thing of wiping my eyes a few times. So I'm a miracle I haven't got pink eye, but I was convinced I was going to get pink eye or the bubonic plague or whatever it is. Anyway, I said bubonic, didn't I? Anyway, never mind that. So yeah, so right now I don't have a toilet because the seal had broke and the pump is not working. So we're sort of having to do a little improvise, and we got to use the upstairs facilities.
Now, eh?
What's that?
I bet the garden stinks now, eh?
There was an odor. There was an odor for a while. It has dissipated since. It's been about a 24-hour stint since there was poo water everywhere, but we're back to no more. Back to a dry floor. Let's have that. Yeah, we got a dry floor now, so we're good. Thank you, Dave, for bringing up my sorrow and misery.
I just wanted everybody to feel good about themselves today, because they didn't have to deal with that shit. All right. And I had to we were sound testing his setup, and I was like, it's going to be a pain to do right before the show, so we did this early this morning, and he told me that whole story. So I wanted to make sure everybody else heard it, because I mean, in these troubled times, we take for granted our ability to just shit without any problems. So. There you go.
Right.
Griffin, have you had time to think about your answer for this?
No, but I'm here. I'll do it. Look,
how are you doing, Griffin?
Am I holding up? Am I doing? I'm doing all right. You know why? Because life is fantastic. You see, what this thing's taught us is, what it taught me, see, is like, this is what it would be like if you retired, you see, because I'm never going to retire. And they're forcing it on me only for a couple of years. It'll be all right. It'll be, it won't be back to normal. It'll be different, but we'll all be out there having fun again. Yes. It's going to be lovely. Don't worry. Look, this is my little. Have a look around here. Can you see that? This is my little shop. This is where I work, and I still come in because people want to buy shit now. Even and that's what we do. So. I don't worry about nothing, it'll be all right. Just keep breathing. And if you've got someone to shag, well, have a shag. That's all you've got, really. Poor Dave, of course, he's only got the cat. But
I don't have a cat.
I mean, you're scared the life out of him, Dave. Poor cat, he must be running crazy around that little room, eh? And there's a dog too, isn't there? Oh, poor dog.
I don't have any animals in my room. They have dogs here in the house. I take pictures with other people's cats. I don't own any of them.
So that's how you get off. You go around and get other people's cats. That's all right. Don't worry. No, look, no. Nah, seriously, like, no, don't be serious. What are you talking about being serious?
Oh, please be serious. I did.
What the fuck? Oh,
What? So that's the shop that you've been. That's the shop that you.
How old are you, Griff?
Oh, jeez.
Are you willing to tell us or?
71. You know how old I am. I tell it in my jokes all the time. I'm 71 years, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was born in 49. My dad was in World War II and all that shit. You know, he was a PTSD lunatic, complete nutcase, but that's all right. And
I didn't know PS.
Realize after about 30, when you get to about 30, you suddenly realise why all our whole generation of dads were all nut jobs. Because I've spent 5 years fighting the fucking Germans and the Jacks, you know. So they're entitled to be crazy. And that's why my generation, the boomers, we're crazy, but we didn't have to kill no one. So that's all right. I'm glad I never had to kill no one, you know. Would you have to
like how you update your terms, too.
When did you move here? When did you move here, Griffin?
In the 80s.
In the 80s.
I don't remember what year because it was blurry.
Yeah.
He did cocaine. He talked a lot about it.
I was going to say, I mean, you're a tall man, pretty good looking guy with an English accent, moves here in the 80s. You must have got so much tail. Oh my God.
Oh my God. No, let's not go into that in front of everyone.
Actually, that'd probably be interesting, Griff.
Yeah, let's talk about something interesting.
The thing
not that your toilet isn't interesting, Sean, but
that store, it was interesting. Shut up, Erie.
Let me tell you about that.
Talk about that. Griffin, is that the store that you've been closing for the last 2 years?
That's why. This is the one I hope to close. But
you always keep saying it's going to close.
You know, fate keeps coming along and changing my plans, but I don't care. Let me tell you about the 80s. Right, back in the 80s, we had a shop.
Tell me about the 80s.
Yeah, no, we had a shop on Clement Street, right, from 1986 up into the early 90s. It's now, if you go up there, it's the aquarium shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's right opposite the Holy City Zoo. And you know the zoo, right? And I used to see Robin there sometimes. He would come along. I know he was already famous by then. Now and then, because he lived just up the street. Now and then he would come down there on a Friday night. They had an open mic, and I'd go to it now and then. If I was in the shop late, I'd go to the open mic. And then a couple of times you'd hear all this screaming and laughing, all this loud noise. And I'd go out and there'd be a crowd of people right across the sidewalk into the cars parked there and out onto the street, and the traffic had to stop. And I knew Robin was in.
Wow.
When you say Robin, not everybody's on a first name basis with him. You mean Robin Williams, of course.
Yeah. I did meet him and speak to him several times.
I got that. He
came into the shop a couple of times. And he was a decent fella. But,
very
his
cool.
marriage was falling apart and all that shit. But anyway, it was fun. You know, we had a good time there. And the other place, Neck of the Woods, you know, you've been to Neck of the Woods, right?
You all have.
Yeah. That used to be called Last Day Saloon. And they used to have good rock bands in there back in those days.
Then it was the Rocket Room for a minute before it became Neck of the Woods.
That club has been like 35 different names.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. No, my buddy now is one of the owners, my friend Kanoa.
Oh, yeah? Cool.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, we got through that section pretty harm-free. That was good.
That was fun.
So the next one, I think I'm gonna switch spots here real quick and jump to our next section, which is because you both, well, I would say you both, but namely Sean, have been people that have, when we went to Shelter in Place, and then a lot of comedy and whatnot had to jump into the Zoom format. Griffin, how did you adjust to the Zoom format? Because I think I don't know if you were jumping into it right away, but did you have any issues with it right away?
Not really. No, I couldn't get it on my computer at home. It's a regular Mac, but I couldn't get the audio to come up on it. So I had to come down the shop and do it. But I find it easy enough. Once you've done it a couple of times, I like doing it because you can hear a little bit of laughing. That's fine. So I like doing Zoom shows. I love them. I want to do more. Book me for the next one, you motherfucker. So no, it's good. I adapted to it easy. Yes, I'm not as old as I think, really.
Yeah, so you kept an open mind, is what.
Open mind, you see.
Here we go.
I think
we
it's
go.
terrific.
No, because I want to leave.
Oh yeah, thanks for booking me on your shows, you guys. I love it. Yeah,
always love having it. So, and we made a special background for Sean's answer for this. So here we go. Sean,
You
please,
son of a bitch.
Sean, if you'll please explain to everybody what was the big deal of you ever even attempting to do a Zoom anything in the beginning of the shelter in place?
I didn't want to do it. That's as simple as that. There's no grand sort of thought process or being closed-minded. It just was not interesting to me to do. Sitting on a screen and talking, this is fine because it's just a few of us talking, but having a massive amount of screens of little boxes and seeing everybody, I get distracted with everybody's background. Like I'm seeing your living rooms and your in your cars or wherever you're at, you're doing your thing. I get distracted, so I'm looking to see what's that back there? Oh, what is So I get distracted by the background, and I stop focusing on what is being said or whatever. Probably like everyone's doing to me right now, but I didn't feel that doing comedy in this sort of platform was conducive of doing good comedy. It just didn't, comedy seems to me you need that audience to have that immediate reaction, to have that laugh. That's a very live thing, a very living, breathing thing, and doing something virtually like this is just kind of it feels weird. That's all.
People used to do it on the radio, though, Sean. People used to do radio comedy shows with no audience. What do you think they felt like?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that was a time I'm sure you remember when you used to sit around the radio and listen to people do a thing. I do my podcast that way. I do my podcast just talking into the void. So, but I have very specific things of why I like to do what I like to do, and Dave likes to have. Dave has done 2 episodes of his podcast.
More than two.
Okay. I have been the subject many, many times on his podcast.
Small sections.
I haven't mentioned him once on my podcast. I'm just saying.
Yeah, where's the love, man? See, there's no love. No love on your end.
No, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, man. I plug your fucking goddamn podcast. I showed the graphic and I said
you showed the graphic and you had all the bites and teeth that you could put on it.
Content, yes. It's a roll of toilet paper for those of you who can look it up. But no, and I'm sure it's great. I still have yet to listen to it, but I wanted to invite you. This
is what's amazing about me and Dave.
What?
He continually will say how bad something is, and he's never seen it or put his ears in it to even know if it's bad or not. He's just like, it's terrible. It's terrible.
My friends.
You just hate the idea of it, right? Though you just hate the idea of something. That's what
no, because here's the thing. You see how Sean? I'm gonna showcase Sean's. I'm gonna spotlight it. So now you all see this. Every Sunday for about 6 months before Sean's podcast, this was on my Facebook Live. It would be on my Facebook news feed. It would be Sean appearing right here, talking to Facebook, all of like 1 to 6 people that would watch it, and you would talk for about a half hour to 45 minutes at the most, really, and just ramble with your whatever was going on, and you'd interact with some of the comments sometimes. And so all my pitch to you when we first started doing this was, hey, we're doing this Zoom thing. We're going to do it like podcast style. Be nice to have you on. I know you got friends. Maybe they'll come and check it out or whatever. You thought it was some scam to like get Venmo donations. And yes, Venmo donations are nice, but it was really just more to like have people watch it, invite you to be a part of it, and yada, yada. And I remember the answer was like, yeah, I've moved on, Dave. I'm doing... I didn't say. I've got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies of nothing I'm doing at home, and whatever the fuck your answer was, it was as though like it was just this answer that just made my skin crawl for even asking you.
It was an answer that you didn't like, which is fine, and I understand that. However, at that particular time, I didn't feel like I needed to do something like that. I didn't feel like I was still sort of working. I was knee deep in work.
Of course, you weren't. No, you weren't.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Can I just say something really quick?
Of course.
John actually called me and was like, "What's up with the Zoom thing?" Or do you call it? I don't know if it was a text or a call, but it was like this whole conversation of like, "What's up with the Zoom thing?" I'm like, "No, it's cool. At least we're doing stuff. It's kind of cool." Well, I just don't get it. I just don't think I can do it.
I think I asked you, Erie, how you felt about it. Like what if you were getting anything positive out of it, if you felt like you were actually able to do some sort of comedy kind of thing. I've said it many times, and Dave thinks this is a bullshit answer, but anytime I do like my podcast, or when I was doing this kind of thing, like the live Facebook thing, it's a way to farm material out of my head. For whatever reason, when the red light's on, my brain goes into a different space and I riff with a little bit more veracity than I would if I was just trying to write something down or whatever. So it was a way to farm material out of myself.
And I hear you.
Potentially to do for the stage.
I totally hear you, but here's the thing. You don't have to send it out to anybody. You could just keep that for yourself too. But this is, you get an audience, you get to talk to people, you actually get, and you can just maybe don't look at the screen or something. I don't know why you don't have to worry about.
We got him on now.
You just focus.
He's settled in now.
Look at the screen.
It's okay. I just thought it was funny.
Perfect example. Just what happened right now. There was like 3 or 4 people trying to talk all at once, and all I heard was that.
Well,
that happens on a podcast too,
yeah.
man.
And I realize that's why you like to just do your solo podcast, so you can just talk and
Yeah, don't bother me.
Yeah.
I have a question. I do have a question. Have you ever listened to your podcast?
Of course, I listened to it back to make sure the levels are okay and that it sounds okay, and then yeah, I listened to it back because I've said something that I've made a little note. Oh, that might be good. I might be able to expand on that or whatever. So yeah, of course.
After you've listened to it, you then still think I'm going to release it to the public.
See, you haven't listened to it, so you don't know if it's.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I mean, I've watched the Facebook Lives. So
the Facebook Lives, that was when I was just barely starting to do something, and I did it for a handful of months, and then I ditched that because I felt like I was committed to doing the time that I set up. With a podcast, I can do it whenever I want and release it whenever I want. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel locked into a thing. And despite what you think, Dave, there was a good response about the Facebook Live. I had people DMing me, asking me when I was doing the next one, are you going to still do those? Mm-hmm. So there were people that liked it, even though you didn't. I'm sorry you didn't like it.
I didn't like it. I loved making fun of you on Sundays, man. It was good. All right, so now we'll get to our next part of the thing is our next section is called "What the hell is your problem?" What the hell is your problem? And that's really just because you guys are both grumpy gripe, this is the ASS podcast. So we like to keep specific little section. I'm going to start with you, Griffin. And we didn't forget you. We got a little header for you too as well. Let me get that here going. Bam. So what is your gripes about what's going on? Just with that, you've got gripes, man. I know you do. You post them on Facebook from time to time. And so what currently are you griping about?
That background's not on me. It's still looking at Sean right now, but never mind. Griping, no, I don't gripe about nothing. What are you talking about? You're the griper, man.
Not true.
You're the mean.
I'll comb your Facebook page right now and find
what
something.
I gripe about? Let me see. What am I going to gripe? No, I have to gripe about something. Well, I can't gripe about the people next door because it'll get back to her. But no, I tell you what, we're going to have a nice show on Saturday night right outside here on the street. We've done it before and it was good fun. But we have to keep it clean. because of the neighbours and the people out on the street. So I'm griping about comics that when I turn Be Clean, they come here and drop an F-bomb like in the first 2 minutes. And that's it. So, you know, I mean, if you can't talk for 10 minutes without saying fucking cunt, like, I mean, what kind of a human are you really, you know? See what I mean, Dave? That's a good gripe, isn't it? Hey?
Kind of,
and,
but it's not really what I was,
you know, it's all right if it's a dirty show. And, the only thing I feel like griping about is, like Sean was saying, really, is we can't get out there and do any live stuff. But what I don't get is I can go into the supermarket like I did today, and there's people all over the bloody place, right? All spreading germs and diseases and shit. And I can't have anyone. Well, I can only have 2 people in here. Why can't I have like 30 people in here? It doesn't make any difference. They're all going to die anyway. So I don't know. Gripe about the closing the state down for this. I mean, what? I still don't understand why they closed everything down, you know. But then again, I'm not a scientist, so I'm griping about nothing really. I don't have enough money. I want to gripe about that. Put some in that Venmo, you bastards. Venmo some money. I'm broke, you know. You liar, Griffin. You're not broke at all. I know, but I'm still. No, I'm still working a bit. Still working a bit here. I'm selling stuff on eBay, a little bit here and there, you know. What are you doing, Sean? Sean's on the. Why
yeah, you got me.
I'm not in the middle of the screen. I'm the star. This is my star spot, right? And I'm looking at Sean's in the middle. But see, I'm griping about that. Come on.
My bad. I still had him. Let me cancel the spotlight. There you go. My bad.
You see what I mean? I'm griping about that. When I'm on stage, I'm supposed to be up in the middle. There you see. Spotlighted my video for everybody. Now you see. Now I can see how stupid I look on the telly. Well, that's what I want to gripe about that too. We had to cancel the show on the TV, which we were supposed to record on Monday, because one person said, "Oh, you can't," because there'd be 6 or 8 people in the building. You know, I mean, they're all old. You know, we're all going to die anyway. Let's have some fun, right? Let's have some fun, is what I'm saying. Let's have more TV, more. We should have more Zoom shows. Now, your old man, Erie, he puts up a lot of shows, right? Can you guys, why don't you do a nightly show? Can you do that? I mean, is it feasible? Can you do a nightly show and you can have like all the comics all over America and the world even just dropping in?
Why don't you?
And, you know.
Yeah, why don't you?
You do that shit. We do our shit our way. Just like Sean does his shit.
I'm just asking. I'm saying I'm pronouncing it in an American way now. I'm just asking if you can do stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because you've got nothing else to do in the evening, right? I mean, you know, Dave, you got playing with the. I mean, watching. I used to watch all those movies, don't you? You sit there and watch movies all night. Well, you could have.
I'm hard at work, you know, being a comedian in place. All right. So that requires watching movies. That is taunting my friends online. I'm also heavily in contact with people both in the show and all the time. I get hit up all the time by people who are drunk in the shelter in place, who are asking me like, you know, hey Dave, you know, I'm drunk. What should I do? And shit like that. It's weird. I'm serious.
Stop drinking, right? Yeah.
I don't tell them that. I mean, these are people that I don't know if they have a problem yet. I mean, but, you know, get a lot of shit like that. So.
Well, you
don't have a problem yet.
Well, that's a good gripe, Dave. That was a nice gripe. I like that.
That was my gripe.
I've got nothing else to gripe about, really.
Okay.
I quit drinking a couple of years ago, as you know, and I don't miss the booze much. Now and then I miss it a little bit, you know, like. I used to come home from work in the evening, and my missus we'll sit down there. We'd have a cocktail, and we'd sit opposite each other and have a little chat for half an hour. You know, almost every night if I didn't have a show, and I miss that. So we still do it, but without that cocktail. Now that's the only time I miss a drink. You know, most of the time I don't miss it at all. I don't miss it now. I'm not missing it now. I do sometimes, rarely miss having that little buzz. The
Why
little
did you
tiny
quit?
buzz, you know.
You still sound like you
Why
are.
did you quit drinking? Just because your health, or just
Health,
you just
yeah.
didn't
So I was
like it
getting
anymore? Or
I was getting sick and ugly.
oh,
You know, it don't be,
sick and ugly.
I don't mind getting sick, but when you start getting ugly, it's time to quit.
I agree.
So,
Completely agree
Look,
with
For
that.
the
last few
record,
days,
for the
man.
record,
Oh, let
I've
me
never
tell you
drank.
what-
I've
let-
never drank.
Sean
Yeah,
doesn't
look
drink
at
at
Sean.
all.
Yeah.
Doesn't do drugs.
the rest of us are
man.
ruined. But listen,
Well,
can I tell you the little story? Just it'll take 2 minutes. Can I tell you the little story?
Yeah,
Dave?
sure.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'll tell you the story. I've been drinking for 50 odd years at the time, and I was starting to get sick. I was getting all these different symptoms of cirrhosis of the liver and stuff, you know. And I said to my missus one night, I said, I'm not drinking tonight. I'm doing Tommy T's with Jeremy and them, and I'm hosting the show, so I'm not going to have a drink till after the show. And this was towards the end. And so I do my set, no drink. I do my opening set. Everything was fine. Bring the next guy up, and I go and sit down. And one of the guys that works there, he comes up. He says, "Oh, great set, Griff." He says, "Here's a drink," and he puts this huge, great fucking shot. Like it must have been 4 shots of whiskey in this glass, and he sits here right in front of me. He goes, "Bullet Rye, right?" I said, "Yeah, thanks, man." And I wasn't going to have a drink, but then it's sitting there and it's going, "Drink me, drink me, drink me, drink me, drink me, drink me." And I thought, I'll have a little sip, just one little sip. So I had a little sip, you know, and then I started getting a little bit tipsy, you know, after a while. And then halfway through the show, I'm like, "That's it." And I slurred my speech, and I noticed it, and I noticed that the audience noticed it, and that's, you can't do that shit, you know. That's like, I want this to be my job, and you can't do that shit, you know. So then I got off, and after the show, I sat in the car for an hour. I'm not going to go home. I sat in the car, and I'm saying things to myself like, "You're stupid. This is it now, man. There's no way that you could just like say, I'm not having a drink till then. I'm not having a drink till after the show. I'll wait till I get home." It doesn't work. You got to just stop. I said, "Stop, Griff. Stop." So I stopped.
That's cool. Good job.
Yeah, right on. Willpower.
That's a really good
That's the
job.
story.
I've only seen 2 professional comedians be funny while drunk. Well, I didn't see one of them. Somebody else did. But Dave Attell, I heard he could be shit-faced drunk and he would be hilarious. And I've seen Dave Chappelle be pretty much shit-faced drunk and was still somehow hilarious. And but it's still weird watching people that are drunk, even if it's good. It's like just, you know, I don't know, it's something about it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What about you, Dave?
Something
When you were drinking, were you would you think you were funny, or have you?
No, I was angry, and people might laugh, but I wouldn't remember what I was ranting about. I do know I got drunk one time, and to prove that racism wasn't funny, I said a lot of racist things on purpose to see if people would laugh, and shocker, no one laughed. And not only that, I got feedback from that night. There was some guy who was heckling the comics, and I was getting in his face about it or whatever, and that was on the tail end of some of my ranting. But the thing was, I already knew that like drinking during set, I could smoke weed. Cocaine, unfortunately, was too good before comedy, but and I didn't do it. Once I did that and it worked, I didn't want to do that again either. But just alcohol was just one of those things where, because it's just like anything else, where you think you start talking to people that don't want to talk to you, and then you think you're having a good time and they're not. It's all that shit, delusional shit. So, and then if it's working, it's even worse, because then somebody's drunk and thinking that it's working for them. So,
Wow.
But
Interesting.
anyway. Yeah, so Sean didn't have those problems, and he came out ugly, without it. So
Exactly. This is I don't know if you can be genetically affected by alcoholism, but my father was an alcoholic, and maybe that had some sort of runoff onto how I turned out. But I don't know. I have no idea.
This guy right here is an alcoholic I played in the movie Live or Die in La Honda. You can't see his eyes. It's probably better to hide his identity. But as you can see, this was a photo we took together. We never met. This was our first time meeting. So it was pretty easy why the director picked me to play this dude. Aside from just the fact that I'm, darker Mexican, we pretty much embodied the same type of alcoholic that I guess he was. They would have had him play the role, but he was too unpredictable when he drank. So that's what I was told. And I was like a year and a half in recovery, and I was drinking iced tea out of bottles, or they did have one and like non-alcoholic beer in a glass. And I didn't want to drink that either. Like I just, it's not like I'm not some strict person, whatever. It's just, if I'm going to drink a beer, I'll drink a beer. And so I actually I would fill up my mouth with it to look like I was drinking, and then I would just spit it out in one shot that I had to do that in. So, but it was weird sitting at a bar, because we were filming in a bar at Applejack's in La Honda, at a bar I've drank at, sitting there looking at a glass of beer, smelling like beer, while being in recovery, playing in what is essentially a lovable alcoholic in this movie. And I remember I think I told my parents after I filmed that, I said, next time I'm going to have to, it's like, I'll do anything once for money, it seems like, within reason. But then when I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, this probably isn't the best idea for my recovery. So.
You were only a year in at that point?
Year and a half. I was closing in on 2 years.
That's still pretty early.
It is. It was, and it was just mainly for that weird. I mean, I was just thinking, it's like I'm here doing work, but it was a weird mind fuck to be sitting in the very same type of posture I was sitting when I would drink, looking at a glass of what looks to be beer in a pint glass at a bar. And I'm just realizing, like, I'm a year and a half in recovery. I'm playing an alcoholic in a movie, and it's not even. I mean, nothing against the movie. The movie's Luis has seen it. He's got a good review in one of his comments on Facebook. But it was just like I had fun for the experience, but I would probably not play an alcoholic in a movie again if I get given the chance. It would have to be with stars this time. So
for like real money,
not even real money. Just much more of like I don't know, something a little more credible.
For $10,000 a day, I'll do it.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah, I'll send them your way, Griff. So next part, since you guys both, I think we've talked about them a little bit, but let's give people a little more background. This is called our Old People Plugs segment, where you can plug the shit you got on. Because I don't think people understood what you were talking about, or even understood what you were saying, Griffin. But you have a comedy show that you are performing, or that you are putting on in San Rafael. Tell people about that.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Saturday night, the 18th, coming up right now. It's a live comedy show, guys. Outside the front door right here. Actually, I'm going to show you. If you'll put it back on me and take me and Dave
put you on the spotlight.
Again. See what I mean? Hey, look.
Check it out.
You're right here, outside right there. See that little forecourt? We can get about 15 people out there. So if you're around, come out. We'll have some fun. I got Larry Brown on the show.
Wow. Awesome.
Larry Bubbles Brown.
Yeah, Bubbles himself. Mr. Bubbles blowing bubbles. Someone be blowing bubbles, not me. And Oliver Graves is going to be there again. And if you guys watch your telly, you'll know he was on America's Got Talent a couple of years ago. Oliver,
good Oliver guy. Yes,
yeah, you know him. He's a fun guy.
Not really, but yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yes, he's fun. He's a good comic.
I like the guy who plays Oliver Graves more than I like Oliver Graves.
Exactly.
Oliver Graves is
That's the point. That's the whole point, Dave.
Oliver Graves is not. Yeah, no, I'm a fan. Jefferson Mars, nice guy. Oliver Graves could give a fuck. Either there. Look up Oliver Graves, everybody. It's like Edward Scissorhands got neutered of his scissors. Like he's got no scissors on his hands.
He does have some very good one-liners. He's a good comic. Anyway, me and Dave's mum is smiling there. Hello, dear.
Oh yeah, she's
good. See her.
I think.
Anyway, so there she is with the glasses on. See the beautiful lady in the corner? Yeah, that's her. So anyway, the show's it's a free show. We're not charging you no money. Just chuck the tips in the jar. You know, $20, $40. It'll be fine each. You can bring a beer. We can't sell you a beer, but we did this a month ago, and we had some good people out, and it was good fun. Who else is on the show? Oh, I've got a flyer right here. Have a look at that. Ira Summer is on the show. Yes, Dre Myers is on.
Not go. Okay.
What?
I'm kidding. I'm fucking with you.
Ira Summer.
Dave, are you going to critique each comedian that's on the show?
But I don't want.
Why not?
Okay.
Show the flyer. Don't read it. Put the flyer up to your camera.
I don't think they show too well. It's too small.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, there you go.
It's back to front, ain't it? See, it shows back to front. That's the trouble.
Nina G.
I love Nina G.
Yeah.
Nina G.
There's
Nina
a good
Nina good
plug right there.
And Eric Summers.
Oh, Eric Summers.
Eric Summers, yay!
Yes, Eric Summers.
Teacher. I love it.
You know, yeah, he's a hilarious dude. Don't say nothing, Dave. He is.
I would say
I don't have
I would say
we make fun of him regularly.
Funny, though.
Yeah.
I've got here. I'll show everybody just to make sure they know who.
So that's next Saturday on the 18th. It starts at 7 o'clock. Get over here. Come on.
Eric Summers. That's
There's
Eric Summers.
That's
Right
Eric
there.
right there.
Favorite
There he is.
teacher.
He'll be there on the sidewalk yelling at people.
And he's as funny as he looks.
Yes, he is.
He is.
All right. So Sean, what do you got plugging to plug?
What do you got?
I currently play in a band called Zedd, not to be confused with the EDM artist ZZEDD. We are with 1D. We put out a record last year, available on any digital platform that you can download a record, as well as the Zedd Bandcamp. You can order material from that. I play drums in that band, sort of a stoner rock band. I also have a podcast, the Sean Boyles Podcast, that is available on any podcast platform that you listen to podcasts at. I think Griff is still on the thing, huh?
Yeah, you can you can hear Sean talk.
I don't think I can't. Oh, sorry, my bad. It still can't. Okay, I can't. Gotcha.
That's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. So yeah, I got the Sean Boyles Podcast. You can see that or listen to that on any podcast platform.
How many people usually listen to that, Sean? How many people do you get usually listening to that?
I get about 20 listens a week for each episode. I'm about 45 episodes deep. I have a grand total of, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 listens altogether out of 45 episodes. I don't know how it all breaks down or whatever. I don't know the math there, but it's a very small audience, but again, I do this for the fun of doing it. And
we're all about small audiences here.
Sean, Randy would like to know what the podcast is about.
The podcast is mainly about music and comedy, but I'll dive into some sort of current event stuff if I feel like I got something to rant about. I'll do if I've had a really good burrito, I'll usually sort of feature that, and I'll tell the people where they could find such a tasty treat.
This is the logo, everybody. I want to make sure it's seen here. The logo. Damn it. Let me make sure it's on there. It's a background.
Oh, it's really good. It's
That's
really
the
good.
background right there. The Sean.
Yeah,
Boyles
it's real. Check it out. It's a good. I've actually listened to a few of them.
Thank you, Erie. Thank you.
And
I also do something called Reaction of the Week. So be it that I'm a 46-year-old metalhead, I'm probably not gonna know or have heard of whatever the top the number one song in the country is. So I will listen to that song and give you a reaction to my reaction to whatever garbage I am hearing that is the top song of in the country at the time. So. And it's usually a pretty foul song that I can't understand how anybody could enjoy it. But again, 46-year-old metalhead, so a guy with the name DaBaby is probably not going to be something I'm going to enjoy. So that's pretty much what the podcast is about. It's just like, again, me rambling about stuff and I got a couple little features within the thing, and then I do at the end. I always close the show out with what's called Earworm of the Week. An earworm is a song that's stuck in your head. Whatever song might be. Sometimes you get a song stuck in your head for a couple days at a time. I will feature that song. Usually, most of the time it's a song I enjoy, but once in a while it's a song I really can't fucking stand, and it's stuck in my head. And you might hear my anger in even describing the song as it's stuck in my head. And then I usually close the show out with that song. So I play a lot of music. I have a disclaimer at the front that I don't have the rights to any of the music that I'm playing, unless it's one of my own music from a band that I've been in the past, which the podcast started off with a song from one of my old bands, but I know. I'm sorry. I know. I went off the rails.
Our podcast.
You're right. Sorry.
What are you talking about?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, it really is a fun show, though. I do think it's fun to listen to, and I have listened to it a lot.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly enjoying your explanation, Sean.
I'm sorry.
I kind of figured. I felt like I was doing a deep dive, in-depth, rambling, starting to get in this monotone, low voice, a la Mean Dave explaining something.
Not at all. No, man. I explain things with life and verve and all kinds of gusto. So you can try and try propaganda elsewhere. All right. So we're wrapping up now. So now we have a section where basically just called Anything Else. And that's basically just means what it says. Is there anything else left that you want to this is just a background I had saved. I really don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to mention there, Griffin? Anything else you need to get off your chest?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks everyone that is on there watching and everything and listening. You're all lovely people, and don't forget the Venmo. And look, no, forget about that. Look, I wanted to say, I just noticed that Erie Diamond is looking very beautiful tonight. You don't look over 40. See this quarantine stuff 40. Is good for some people. You're actually getting younger, aren't you? She's getting younger. She's getting younger. That's what I'm saying. And the hair's got redder, and your face has got, it's all the wrinkles have gone. You're looking good, babe. Thank you very much.
Wait, you make it sound like I used to look really terrible, and now
no.
Some kind of Benjamin Button situation.
No, you always look fantastic, but now you look fantastica. Fantastica.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
That doesn't get me booked for next week. I don't know what that.
Right? I'd like to plug something for me, Dave.
Yeah, go for it, Erie.
Every Saturday, I do like a match game reboot on Zoom, and it's actually super fun. And so look for that. And then I actually post it on YouTube. So if you ever want to, check it out, see what it's all about. It's really fun. I get like 6 comedians, or I also get I know a lot of people in the burlesque show community. So I get burlesque dancers, and I get or producers, hosts, all of that. I get comedians, and we have contestants, and the contestants actually play for a small pizza sent to their home. So
that's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I DoorDash them a small pizza, and then they can also play for toppings. And there is a bonus round that they could get a medium. So it's riveting. I got to tell you, it's at 7:00 every Saturday.
I have a question. Has the match game people come after you yet?
Oh, they won't. There's no threat there.
Much like the rights to the music that you guys, as long as you maintain a low listenership or low viewership, no one's getting bothered.
I don't think there's any threat that I'm gonna I'm like stepping on their toes. This is sort of
free publicity for them, really.
I think everybody.
This is sort of
in people's minds that it's actually still happening on the telly,
Right.
And everybody here is I believe is more than familiar with my YouTube show. In the meantime, with Mean Dave. Where if you watch, if you haven't seen all the most recent episodes, you can see all of the firsthand trashing I have done of Sean Boyles throughout the Corona weeks. It's not like episodes were dedicated to them. It's just real small sections of just back.
I don't know. The thumbnail on one of the episodes on YouTube is me a picture of me and a picture of you.
That was because YouTube picture it generates 3 thumbnails to choose from. And the one that came up was that part. And that was me pointing out that you can be funny sometimes. And that I showed that picture to point out that you can be funny because it's a funny picture. I mean,
it's a ridiculous picture.
It's a ridiculous picture.
The weird thing is sometimes you guys get mistaken for each other, which is doesn't make sense at all.
The funny thing, we look nothing alike, but the funny thing is when I saw Bo, because in that segment, I took one of his Facebook Lives and I played it right side by side with me describing what one of the Facebook Lives looks like, and me doing it. I could easily see like how morons would get us confused because we're not, we both got big heads and we're both got bellies and whatever. So he looks.
I like to say I look like
drummer as well. You're both drummers, right, Dave?
I can play drums. He's more of a drummer. I can play drums. That's.
What do you play when you were rocking? What did you play?
Me, guitar, bass mostly. But I mean, I play drums in bands. It's just he's a dedicated drummer though. I played just for a punk band, and I was good at it, but it wasn't my instrument of choice. Why don't you guys put together a little tune to go with your shows? Because we don't want to. We don't want to. I mean, yes, you do. No. Do it. I'll jam with them eventually when Corona's all gone, and
sure, it'll happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah, we're gonna be old enough, and we'll be like, "Fuck it, we got instruments, let's jam."
Yeah, nobody else will be around because we pissed everybody off. So
at the apocalypse, at the campfire of the apocalypse, when all the buildings are burned down, and we're roasting cats over an open fire for dinner. We'll, me and Sean will do a little ditty for everybody at the campfire of doom.
Wow, this is like that Road Warrior movie is depressing as hell.
Hey, what are you talking about? It's an uplifting movie, man. That's
Road Warrior is depressing.
Optimism right there.
And I'm sure the song is going to be equally depressing and uplifting.
Oh, what are you talking about? It'd be great. 100%. It'd be great. Well, I think we've reached the end here. So, Erie, if I know you have your music queued up there, so we can play everybody out, and thank everybody once again for being here. Again, if you want to donate to the comics, we'll put the thing one last time here. Donate at Venmo at Evelyn.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us at another terrible podcast by Comics. I really appreciate you guys showing up all the time. I'm Erie.
Love you, Griffin.
That's me and Dave. Say goodbye. Griffin Daly, funny comedian. Check out Sean Boyle, podcaster, musician, and occasional comedian when he can. And check him out on Zoom shows. Thanks, guys, so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Thank you, Randy, Denise, Laura, and Louis for tipping us. We really, 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 really appreciate it.
Thanks,
you, guys.
Say goodbye to your parents for me, Jason.
Good night.
It's great seeing them. They look great. So, hell yeah.
Bye, Dave's mom. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Bye, Mark.
Bye.
Good seeing everybody.
Okay,
not
let me
bad.
go on.
Not bad, Sean. Good job. Great job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wasn't that hard, was it? See? You can totally do this.
It's doable. I don't know. It's
your shitty attitude. That's it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's so much a shitty attitude. If it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't. It feels weird. That's all. It just feels weird.
It feels weird because it's new. But I'm telling you, if you were to do something,
there's been plenty of new stuff I've tried that I've enjoyed. It's just weird.
It is weird, and if the more that you act like it's fucking weird, people were. One of my newer jokes is saying that when they were saying that Zoom shows aren't real comedy shows, and I'm like, yeah, people have had generations of phone sex and online sex, and no one was saying that's not real sex, Well,
I don't do that either.
Yeah, you kind of do. You imply it.
No, I don't do phone sex or on text sexting.
No, I'm saying that you don't concern yourself with what the other people are doing so much. Because at the time, it was your posts. That's right. I forgot to bring it up. It wasn't that you just turned it down, but you had to post about it, and that was.
I made one post. I said I'm not bored enough to do a Zoom show.
There were two posts.
Was there two?
There were two. There were two.
Okay.
There was one Zoom on Zoomers, and then
Zoom on Zoomer.
and then there was one later. There's one later that you made that I because those were the ones that I made fun of. So
Yeah, I saw.
all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get going. I gotta
You're
rush.
having fun tonight, Sean.
You should do it. You should do Jerry's match game show if she invites you. It's a fun game. She'll have you on. You
now
do
that
answers.
He's willing to do Zoom. Now that he's willing to do Zoom.
Yeah, if you're willing to do Zoom, her match game show, her match game thing is fun to do. So
It is.
Griffin's done it.
You
So
laugh.
it's
You
yeah.
had a good time.
Yeah, it's you're basically just you're doing like fill in the blanks like Mad Libs for people to get right, and they and you make they get tip donations too.
It's a good fun show, yeah.
Dave, nice
Yeah.
show. Hey, Griff. Okay, guys.
All right, guys.
All right,
See you
guys.
later.
See you guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Love you guys.